You know, I never thought my quiet retirement by Oak Lake would turn into a full-blown war with the neighborhood busybody. But there I was, staring at a land sold sign hammered into the 1,200 acres I'd been tending like my own backyard for 6 long years. Land that felt like an extension of my family's soul. And just like that, the Maplewood HOA had snuck it away to some slick developer without a whisper to anyone. My name's John Harlan, 64 now, a former civil engineer who'd hung up his hard hat after losing my wife Elizabeth to that damn leukemia 4 years back. She'd always talked about turning that wild stretch into a peaceful haven with wildflowers nodding at the water's edge. So after she was gone, I poured my grief into it, clearing brush, planting seeds, building little paths where folks could walk their dogs and remember what quiet really means. But that crisp October morning, with my old lab Max barking like he'd spotted a ghost, I swung open the cabin door, built by my grandpa in '54 after Korea, expanded by Dad in the '80s with that screened porch where Elizabeth and I used to sip tea at dawn, and there stood Susan Whitaker, the HOA queen bee, smirking with a phony document clutched in her manicured claws. Tough break, old timer, but progress waits for no one. Her voice dripping with that fake sympathy that makes your blood boil, like she was doing me a favor by ripping out my heart. I stood there, coffee spilling down my shirt, feeling the world tilt. The land wasn't just dirt. It was Elizabeth's unfinished dream, my way of keeping her close. And Susan, this 48-year-old transplant from some failed condo board out east, had sold it off in a shady deal to fund her little empire. All because she'd built her power on nitpicking rules and hidden fees, resenting anyone like me who didn't bow to her endless fines for unauthorized beautification. Rage bubbled up as I remembered overhearing her the night before. My neighbor Pete had planted a bug near the community hall after she'd hounded him over his fence height, and I'd caught her cackling with her cronies. "That stubborn Harlan won't see it coming till the bulldozers roll in. We'll pocket the cash and finally get some real value out of this backwater." I yanked at that sign with my bare hands, slipped in the mud like a fool, Max thinking it was playtime and jumping all over me while nosy misses. Larson snapped pics for her online gossip fest. Local grump versus progress. Spoiler, progress wins. The humiliation stung, but it lit a fire. This wasn't about land anymore. It was about every promise I'd made to Elizabeth, to my dad, to the memory of a place that had sheltered us through wars, losses, and quiet joys. And Susan's greed, born from her own bitter divorce and thirst for control after getting booted from her last HOA for shady accounting, had crossed a line I couldn't ignore. So I dusted myself off, slipped on my faded flannel — Elizabeth always said it made me look rugged — and dialed the number on that cursed sign. Ryan Caldwell from Summit Builders picked up, smooth as oil. "Mr. Harlan, this is business. Your HOA cleared the sale. You've got 30 days to clear out your junk, or we'll slap you with fees that'll empty your pockets." His threat hanging like a noose, implying they'd bury me in court costs I couldn't afford on my pension. But I wasn't backing down. I drove to the HOA office, this sterile box in a strip mall where Susan held court like a small-time dictator, walls plastered with violation notices and a map of fined houses like battle scars. She waved that fake paper again. "John dear, times change. Your little gardening hobby was cute, but it's trespassing, and you owe us $600 in back fees." Her eyes gleaming with that petty triumph, Bob the treasurer clicking away on his calculator like it was his favorite toy, and Linda the secretary scribbling every word as if it shielded her from her own fears of losing control after her messy family split. I left fuming, but something clicked. Susan was too rehearsed, too smug. She knew this was dirty, driven by her need to prove she was untouchable after her past failures, and I had that recording burning a hole in my phone. That's when the fight really started. I called up young attorney Alex Rivera, fresh out of law school, working from a tiny spot above a taco joint, ramen cups stacked on his desk. He listened, eyes widening. "Mr. Harlan, this stinks of overreach. Let's dig into the records." We headed to the county clerk's office, where old Mrs. Kowalski, the record keeper with a memory like a steel trap, pulled files that hit like a thunderclap. The land was protected wetland since '89. Untouchable without a public vote Susan had faked with a forged signature, spelled wrong no less, and she'd been skimming $40 a month from 52 families in preservation dues for 12 years, pocketing over $300,000 through a shell company she'd set up to flip properties on the side. But the gold mine? A forgotten '97 bylaw. If the board broke state land laws, control flipped to the first challenger, me. Alex and I built our case, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and fire, remembering Elizabeth's soft voice urging me to stand tall. Susan's motive ran deep, her control freak ways stemming from a childhood of instability, but that didn't excuse turning our community into her personal piggy bank. We filed the suit, illegal sale, fraud, embezzlement, and Susan hit back hard, hiring a shark firm that buried us in motions, even dragging Elizabeth's death into it during depositions. Isn't this obsession just unresolved grief, Mr. Harlan? The lawyer sneered, twisting the knife till tears blurred my vision, but I choked out, "It's love, you heartless suit, not madness." Meanwhile, my buddy Mike Donovan, a retired cop who'd served with my nephew in Iraq, poked around and uncovered Susan's old fraud rap in Georgia, faked a slip and fall for insurance cash, and her grand plan, selling the whole damn neighborhood to Summit for $15 million, displacing us all for a mega resort, her cut hidden in commissions while she skipped to Arizona. The betrayal cut deep. Families I'd known for decades, like the Patels next door struggling after a layoff, had been her quiet targets, bought out cheap and flipped. High noon came in court on day 7. Judge Harlan, no relation thank God, presiding. Alex laid it out, voice steady now, invoking that state statute as Susan's lawyers squirmed. Then Mike played the tape, Susan boasting, "These yokels won't know till they're evicted. My bonus alone buys a beach house." The judge's gavel fell like justice itself. HOA control to Mr. Harlan, deal voided. Walking out with the office keys, I caught Susan's eye, her face crumbling from shock to fury. She lunged for them, screeching, "This is mine! You can't!" But the bailiff hauled her back, and oh, the sweet irony as Bob and Linda bolted like rats. My first act as prez slashed fees to $40 for everyone but Susan. Hers stayed $180 plus a karma surcharge. And I made her paint her house lime green, mow to exactly 3 inches, all with written requests, watching her seethe from my porch as Max wagged his tail. She got probation, 400 hours cleaning the very land she'd tried to destroy, repaying every dime. Alex's practice boomed. Mike became our security guy, and the acres became Elizabeth's whisper garden. Sunflowers blooming where bulldozers would have roared. Plaque reading, "For those who fight for home." But here's the twist that still nags at me. Turns out I spotted that bylaw early on. Let her scheme balloon to nail her harder. Was that justice? Or revenge? Ryan called later, offering big bucks direct, but I turned him down flat, wondering if I'd gone too far in savoring her fall. Man, looking back, it changed me. Showed that one guy's stand can topple a tyrant, but power's a slippery thing. Did I become what I hated? Or was it fair play? What do you think? Ever dealt with a neighborhood bully like Susan? Or felt that rush of turning the tables? Drop your stories in the comments, like if this fired you up, and subscribe for more real talk tales where the little guy wins, or does he?